Good day, all, and welcome to another edition of Local Legislator Live at 11. I am your host, Charles Gates, where we are a component of locallegislator.net, where our mission is to be the premier source of local election information in the United States and an advocate for the sustainability of local businesses nationwide. This morning, we have a guest with us from Portsmouth, City Council candidate, Mr. Ed Brown. Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Good morning, sir. How are you, Mr. Gates?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
We do call these raw interviews for our viewers out there. The raw interviews, you will not see the robotic. You will not see a scripted version of Mr. Ed Brown. We're going to go for this thing, and we're simply going to interview him and share the information that you are looking for as an electorate in Portsmouth and the surrounding area. So let's start off this way. Mr. Brown, tell us about Ed Brown. What is your education and occupation, and why are you running for Portsmouth City Council?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a product of Portsmouth Public Schools. I attended West Haven Elementary, Hunt Junior High, as well as Matt Junior High. Now, I went to high school in Chesapeake, so don't hold that against me. I graduated from Western Grant. I went on and graduated from that great HBCU, Norfolk State University, where I earned a Bachelor's of Arts in History. I also went on to American Military University, where I earned a Master of Arts in History. I've been in the education field for 22 years. I've taught in Virginia Beach, Norfolk for the CSET program. I've taught here in Portsmouth for Portsmouth Public Schools for 13 years. 13 years. 8 years at Churchland Middle School, as well as 5 years at IC Norcom High School. I have since resigned from Portsmouth Public Schools because I wish to effectively serve on the school system, on the city council. If I'm working for the school system, then I would not be able to vote on budgetary issues as they would pertain to Portsmouth Public Schools. So it was a tough decision, but I've seen during my 13 years of experience teaching in Portsmouth, I've seen that we have been teaching our kids on the cheap. And I got tired of complaining about it. I wanted to do something about it, so I decided to run for city council. Currently, I work for United Health Services of Delaware as a mental health technician. In that capacity, I counsel at-risk youth.
Okay. From an educational standpoint, there's always been a big educational component to local, state, and federal government. Why is that, and how does that form your views?
Well, education is a major part of our society. So most definitely the federal, state, and local government ought to have some skin in the game. It was Thomas Jefferson who believed that in order for us to have a prosperous union, that we ought to have an educated public. He didn't mean all of us, but I mean, let's give him some credit. He started the seeds. But absolutely, I have always had an interest in social issues, government, politics, of course, education. The internet is unstable, sorry. But absolutely, government should play a role in education, and it has formed my opinion of how important government and education are. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, in November, how is your full name going to appear on the upcoming ballot?
Yes, sir. Well, I go by Ed Brown, of course, but on the ballot, my name will be listed as Edward L. Brown Jr., and I will be number 6 on the ballot.
Okay. And now we understand that okay. All right. We understand that the city council are not required to disclose any affiliation to a political party. Now, do you associate with any parties yourself?
Yes, sir, I do. I'm a proud Democrat. I'm a very active member of the Portsmouth Democratic Committee. I have worked for Democratic candidates for years, and I'm a staunch supporter of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Okay. Now, as you said you lived in Portsmouth, how long have you lived in Portsmouth, and have you held any previous public offices prior to this running for city council?
I was born in Portsmouth. I've lived in Portsmouth for most of my life. See, I'm 50 now, maybe 40 of those 50 years I've lived in Portsmouth. Portsmouth is my home. And yep, that's right.
Okay. Now, what has been your community involvement and how has that helped you prepare for this moment?
Well, I'm very proud of my history of public service, starting with the Meals on Wheels program. I've been active with many candidates who have run for office. I served as president and treasurer of the Churchland Middle School PTA, um, the IC Northam High School PTSA, same as PTA, they just add student. I've served as chair of the Portsmouth Parks and Recreation Commission, and I've also served on the Museum and Fine Arts Commission. Also had a hand in putting together a restoration of rights clinic. That came about from, well, my interest in that came from my activism and working with New Virginia Majority. It's a nonprofit organization. They specialize in social justice issues such as registering people to vote, as well as restoring the right to vote to individuals who are formerly incarcerated. So from my work with that organization, I decided that I wanted to do something on my own. So along with James Bailey, who is a civil rights activist locally, we helped to put together a restoration of rights clinic where we had speakers to come in to speak to individuals who were formerly incarcerated, but also we had some speakers to come in to discuss how to become a merchant seaman, how to get your CDL license. So it was a very substantive event that I was very proud to be a part of.
Okay. Now, this next question comes from a viewer. Legislators pass laws impacting local communities. What aspects of the community are being overlooked when it comes to local cities, or specifically cities like Portsmouth, that are majority minority?
Well, in my opinion, and this is another reason why I decided to run, the south side of Portsmouth has historically been underrepresented. Um, there are a lot of needs. There's a high level of poverty on the south side of Portsmouth. I'm talking about Brighton, Prentice Park, Effingham Estates, Starboard Townhouse, excuse me. The area over there by the shipyard, and they need they can use a library over there or a community center. Of course, we have the rec center on Portsmouth Boulevard, where the city has made some investments in. And by the way, I was chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission when they started that effort. But that was a long time coming. I mean, that should have been done a long time ago. So as far as communities being underserved, I would definitely say the south side area of Portsmouth, and they will have a friend on the city council if I get elected. I'm from that area. I grew up in Brighton and Prentice Park, across the street from Bolden Store near the shipyard in South Side. So they would have a friend. I know what those folks are going through, and because I've been there. And I would want to help to alleviate any problems with poverty or crime that folks in that area have, especially the kids. So yeah, I will be a
Okay.
friend on the city council for that.
A friend on the city council. To our viewers out there, you are listening to Local Legislator Live at 11. Again, this is my name is Charles Gates, and we are bringing to you this morning Mr. Ed Brown. He is a city council candidate from the city of Portsmouth. If you like what you see here, send us a comment. Check out our YouTube page, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Let us know who you'd like to see next, and I will tell you that we are going to do our best to get as many of the local candidates in the Richmond metropolitan and the Hampton Roads area as possible on our air, some live, some not live, but for your viewing pleasure, so you can be an informed electorate on election day. Now, Mr. Brown, if elected, what are your 4 top goals?
4 top goals. Okay, well, there are myriad issues of which I'm concerned with. My primary issue is public education. I am not happy with the very slack support that this city council has given to the school system here in Portsmouth. One of the major goals that I have is to encourage city council to provide the extra funding to the school system so that they may bring a vocational school to Portsmouth. We are the only city in Hampton Roads which does not have one. Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Newport News, Hampton, even Suffolk has a vocational school. Portsmouth does not. Uh, I think that's a problem. Based on my 13 years of experience in teaching in Portsmouth, I see very well that there is a need for that. Okay, so funding for an educational school. In terms of economic development, I want to ensure that the city is doing all due diligence and ensuring that minorities and women are able to have a fair shot at city contracts. The school system has done that. We want to make sure that the city does it. We don't think that they're getting their fair share, so we want to make sure that that's going on. Recreational facilities for our city. Uh, I'm not happy at the very slack approach that our Parks and Recreation Department is taking towards providing recreational facilities for our kids. I was a kid, of course, growing up in Portsmouth. There wasn't a lot for me to do then. That was like 30 years ago, and the same is still going on today. Recent statistics have shown that young people are committing crime in Portsmouth. So we believe that if we have adequate funding for our recreational facilities, as well as our school system, it could steer our kids in the right direction. So, it could have a positive effect on decreasing crime. Absolutely. I want to increase the overall economic health of the city. I'm tired of people saying that we do not have enough land on our tax rolls. Well, yet when I drive around the city, I see a whole lot of acres of many acres of land, which are empty. There's nothing on it. It could be a house built on it, or there could be a business place there as well. Something which would generate tax revenue for our city. So that I think we need to bring in more middle to upper income families into Portsmouth, because that would expand the tax base as well as attract businesses. Businesses are attracted to people who have money. So I think we need to do a better job in creating an environment where they will be welcomed into our city. I think that's four, right?
I believe so. I believe
Okay.
so. And my last question for you, Mr. Brown, this morning is how can our viewers find out more about you and your campaign?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I'm very accessible. I'll give my phone number out, 757-949-0374. My email address is edbrown44@outlook.com. And my website, if you wish to do more research on me, my website is www.edbrown2020.com. There are myriad ways for folks to get a hold of me.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Brown. And again, to our viewers out there, this is Mr. Brown. He is running for your city council position in the city of Portsmouth, Virginia. To our viewers out there, thank you so much for watching. We'll stay tuned for us tomorrow or later on today, as a matter of fact, for another edition of Local Legislator Live at 11. Mr. Brown, take care of yourself. And to our viewers, tag us, comment us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, and we'll do our best to get it on for you. And remember, we're not global, we're local. Local Legislator Live at 11. Take care.